in personal work, that's a lot. Let me tell you what Paul said. By keeping the faith, he said in verse 8, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not to me only, but also to all who love his appearing. What if every single one of us had that attitude? I hope we do. But if we sit back and we think, well, I'm just not sure that I feel like I can finish the race, well, we need to do something about that. We need to have that attitude that we're going to finish the race. Because let me tell you something, it's worth it. It's going to be worth it. There's laid up for Paul, he says, a crown of righteousness will be laid up for you, a crown of righteousness as well. And then sixthly, and then we'll get into some self-examination. What if everybody were like Jesus? What if everybody were like Jesus in regards to how they treat others? It's just unreal when it comes to the level of selfishness in the world today. We are encouraged, our kids are encouraged, to focus on self. To think about you, me, and never think about others and their well-being. But our Lord said in Matthew chapter 7 and verse 12, therefore, whatever you want men to do to you, do also to them, for this is the law and the prophets. I've often said, to remember where this verse is at, remember, you need to do this 7 days a week, 12 months a year. We should do this all the time. In other words, how I want to be treated is how I should be treating others. Now, we may think that may seem simple, but when you think about, if everybody were like this, there'd be less violence in the world, there'd be more love and kindness bestowed upon others, there'd be more selflessness in society. There'd be less people trying to outdo one another and trying to make others lose so that you can gain. All the tragedies we hear about, things such as that, the wars, the murders, the adultery, all the things that we hear about, we wouldn't have those happen because we would be treating people the way we want to be treated. So why does everybody like Jesus in regards to people say that all the time? Oh, the golden rule, the golden rule. How many people really practice? What if everybody were like Jesus? Well, here's where it's going to start. We'll start with us. We'll start with me and you, setting that example. So, there's a lot of individuals we can look at. People like Stephen and Paul and Peter and Lois and Eunice and Tabitha and, of course, Jesus, the ultimate example. Well, let's make some applications. For one thing, we could go through the whole Bible and talk about people like this. What if everybody were like Joseph? What if everybody were like Noah? What if everybody were like David? What if everybody were like Gideon? We're going to talk about Gideon tonight just as a preview. But what if everybody were like these individuals? And so the Bible is replete with examples. But now we take those examples and we take the things that we learn about these individuals, we take the things we learn from God's Word in regards to how we're supposed to live, and the key word being how we're supposed to live, and we want to go from here's how I'm supposed to be to here's how I am going to be. And let's talk about some of them. In other words, the question now is, what if everybody was like me? And I don't mean, what if all of you were like me? I mean, we're going to all ask this question to ourselves. I'm going to ask the question, what if everybody was like me? Wendell's going to ask, what if everybody were like Wendell? What if everybody were like Bill? And so on down the line. And before I get into these, here's what I want to remind you of. In Matthew chapter 7, or Luke chapter 17, and verse 10, Jesus says, so likewise ye, when you shall have done all those things which are commanded you, say, we are unprofitable servants. We have done that which was our duty to do. Now, I realize, and let us realize, that none of us are perfect. That we all need to grow. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're examining ourselves. Over and over, the Bible reminds us to examine ourselves. There's no, I'm not preaching this lesson or any other lesson to say that I'm sinlessly perfect or I've attained all the things I want to talk about. I'm like Peter, I'm like Stephen, I've met those, I've reached that level, I've took that 0 and made it 100% or whatever. I realize that. But the point is we need to strive. We need to grow. Remember this verse. Jesus said, so likewise when you shall, notice this phrase, have done. I've always been fascinated by that because of the way the Lord presumes there. It's not, so likewise when you attempt. So likewise when you think about it. It's when you have done. The expectation is we do it. We did it. And so we've got to make sure that we grow and we learn about God's Word and we examine ourselves and we get to the point where we can say, I'm like that individual now. I'm like this, what God says. Or I'm as close to it as I can humanly possibly be. That's within every fiber of my being. One of the things we talked about in a Bible study recently is how that we strain with every nerve. We need to strain and strive. Paul said, I have fought the fight. So we've got to fight and strive to get as close as we can to these points that we're about to make is what I'm talking about here. When you have done all that's been commanded. So let's think about, what if everybody were like me? What if everybody was like me? How would the world be? What if everybody was like me when it comes to how frequently I study the Bible? If I'm sitting back there and I'm thinking, oh, would be good, wouldn't be many people that knew anything about the Bible, well then what am I going to do about it? See, that's the thing. We've got to take these things and learn from them. Would there be people studying like they should? If I'm studying my Bible once in a blue moon, I can tell you right now, I need to improve. Now, I don't know how often any of you study the Bible, and I can tell you right now that if I was to go through this list, kind of like David did a while back, and rank these from needs improvement to great, I could probably rank every one of these to needs improvement. I don't think you can ever study the Bible enough. But here's the point. If my Bible sits on my table and I never open it, I never study it except for Sundays and Wednesdays, there's a problem. And I need to study my Bible. And if I'm sitting back and thinking, well, I hope people aren't studying like me because then we'd be in a lot of trouble, do something about it. Make the effort and make the time. Resolve yourself to finish the course. Resolve yourself, say, I'm going to study the Bible more. If I'm studying the Bible one day a week, maybe make it 2 days a week. If you're studying the Bible 30 minutes once a week, maybe make it an hour. Realize change doesn't happen overnight, nor does growth happen overnight. It's a gradual thing. And so we can take and look at ourselves and take from this and make some improvement in our lives. What if everybody were like me when it comes to how often I attend services? What if I am one that maybe I don't attend every Sunday, maybe I don't attend every Wednesday. We got a gospel meeting coming up next week. And one of the things that I find very interesting here that I really appreciate is how far in advance we know we have gospel meetings, so that guess what we can do? Plan. You can plan for it. There shouldn't be it shouldn't be come upon us as a surprise. There's a gospel meeting next week. Well, how long have we known? Probably over a year or more. Surely I can make plans. Now, something might come up when unexpectedly. Today is a case in point of that for some of our members. But if it's within my power to plan to be here, then I should plan to be here. Maybe I'm chronically late. Maybe every Sunday I roll in 15 minutes after Bible study starts. I roll in 10 minutes after the 11 o'clock service starts, or what have you. What should I do about that? Well, if I'm leaving at this time every Sunday and I'm always late, maybe I need to leave a little bit earlier. You see, there's things we can do about this. But what if everybody were like me? Would people be there consistently? You know, we want to never get to the idea that we think, well, the preacher has to be there. Oh, you're the elders, you have to be there. We're Christians and we're members of Real Creek. We all have to be here. Amen. Hebrews 10:25 got in there just for good looks. It's there for a reason. And so if we can do something about it, then we need to do something about it. So what if everybody were like me? And if I'm thinking, well, I hope they're not, then we need to do something about it. We have jobs. We get sick. Somebody in our family gets sick. Things come up. But if we have the power to control this within whatever is within our power, we need to do something about it. And so we need to plan. What about personal work? Here's one of those areas I know I can do a better job in. Here's an area that if everybody done as much personal work as me, would others be taught the gospel? Would people really be learning about the Lord? Would the church be growing? And if I sit back and think, I don't know the last time I taught somebody about the Lord, well, guess what? Do something about it. Do something about it. Make an effort to bring up the Lord to somebody. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe your neighbor. Maybe a coworker. Do something about it. And that's what this is all about. The Bible is all about examining ourselves and doing something about it when we need improvement in our lives. What if everybody were like me when it comes to how much I lay by the sword and whether or not I plan what I'm going to lay by the sword? The Bible talks about how that we purpose in our heart. What if everybody were like me and they decided, well, I'll wait till the collection plate's passed around and I'm going to just reach my wallet and what's there is there, and I'll give it. Or maybe I decide, I've been given this much, but man, I like that toy down there. that grown-up toy, that electronic thing I want, and I'm going to get that. I'm going to get this new car that I don't need. I'm going to get this new grown-up toy that I don't need, and it means that when I have to give less to the Lord. Right? That's my attitude. So what if everybody were like me when it comes to that? And so we need to think about that. Would there be any money to carry out the Lord's work, to sustain the local congregation? And so we need to look at ourselves and think about that. Here's one that I think that may interest us: how I behave. What if everybody were like me when it comes to how I behave, or maybe more accurately be how I misbehave during worship service? I've been in services in the past at congregations where there were certain times during the worship service where certain things were going on, and it seemed like that was the time when people wanted to decide to start chit-chatting. And maybe you've been in situations like that too. And so the point is, what if everybody were like me? Would they be able to pay attention? Am I using my time at the worship service to catch up on what's been going on with my neighbor's week, the person sitting next to me? Are we going to sit there and have a conversation? Tell me about what you did in the garden yesterday. Tell me about what happened at work yesterday. I'll catch up on that sermon later. Or maybe it's the best time to get my nap in. Some people look at Sunday morning as, that's when I'm going to get my nap. Best sleep I ever got. When the invitation song sang, I'll wake up. I get a wake-up call. Maybe that's my attitude. Maybe I'm doing something that prevents me from focusing on the worship service. Maybe I'm playing with something that I have no business to be playing with. Maybe I'm surfing the internet on my cell phone instead of using it to use for the Bible. I remember when I was a child. Well, I won't say a child. I was probably a teenager. We were going to the Mouth of Mud, and when I was a kid, we didn't have DSs or 3DSs or Nintendo Switches. We had a Game Boy. You probably remember the Game Boy. Had the calculator graphics, right? And played many Mario games on that. Me and Mario played a lot, whatever. I wanted to bring it to church services one time. I thought I'd bring it, stick earbuds in, and the sermon would go by just fast. My mom said no. I'm glad my mom said no. But what if that's my attitude? Well, you know what? That sermon's just so boring. I'm going to bring something else. I remember one of the things I did as a child was I would get my songbook out during the sermon. I'd start on page 1 and I'd start flipping the pages in hopes that by the time I got to the end of the songbook, the sermon would be over. Giving all my tricks away. So what if that's the way I behave? What if I'm busy talking to somebody and then they can't observe the Lord's Supper in a worthily manner because they can't focus on the Lord because I'm too busy trying to talk to them? Or I'm doing something that distracts other people, whether it be talking or whatever. What if that's how I am? Well, then maybe I need to do something. Because let me tell you, we come here to worship God. You know what Jesus said? The two of you are gathered together. There I am in their midst. Wendell pointed that out to us this morning. What if Jesus was physically sitting up here? Would you still do those things? I wouldn't have pointed that Game Boy out at all. Jesus was physically sitting there. But guess what? Jesus is here with us.
Amen.
The two or three are gathered together. There I am. He's here. He's watching us. And so I need to think about how I'm behaving in the worship service. Now, how about this one? Would I use and develop my talents? If everybody were like me, would they sit back and say, well, I'm going to let somebody else do it? I was thinking about this point the other day. And if we had 3 people, we had person A, we have person B, and we have person C, and person A says, I'm not going to teach, I'm not worried about that. Person B is going to do it. And then what if person B has that attitude? And they say, well, I'm going to let this guy do it. And then what if this guy is like these two, and he says, I'm going to let nobody. We've got to make sure that we realize every single one of us has responsibility. You might think to yourself, I'm not a teacher. I think most of us in this room have children. And what does Paul command parents to do in Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1? Teach your children. Lois and Eunice did. Now, so let me tell you something. You're selling yourself short if you think you can't work in the Lord's church. If you think you don't have anything to offer. If you think you're not capable of telling somebody something about the Lord. Every one of us that are Christians should at the very least be able to tell people how we became a Christian. Would there be people that would preach and teach in the public assembly? What if something happened one day and the person who was scheduled to preach couldn't make it? Would somebody be there just to step up to the plate? We're blessed with a lot of preachers here and teachers. I think that would be an issue. What would happen if something like that did happen one day? What if everybody here that normally preaches and teaches got stuck behind a train or whatever? Would there be somebody? I would hope so. But that's the thing. We need to think about, we have talents. You can do these things. God will use the least likely person. That's the point in tonight's lesson. You might think that you're the least likely person to work for the Lord. Let me tell you, God will use you. He does. He uses the least likely person that you think about to work for Him. The Apostle Paul persecuted the church. And look what happened to him. He's somebody we talked about this morning as, let's be like Paul. And so, what if everybody was like me? Would they use and develop their talents? Talk to Corey this morning. Talk to him. He got drafted to work the computer this morning. Would I be willing to step up if something like that happened? Would I be willing to work and help the Lord's kingdom? Let me tell you something about talents. The more you use them, the more they grow. And if you think that you've got one talent and you hone that talent, I can guarantee you're going to find that you have a second talent, a third talent, and a fourth talent. And as you hone those, you're going to find out you have a fifth and a sixth. The Lord will use you if you will let Him. How about how often I visit the sick? You know, I was thinking about this board over here recently. We call this board over here the prayer, people to pray for. Let me tell you what, if you're wondering about who to go visit, there's a whole list of names. And so we need to pray for these people, but when we have opportunity, we need to go visit these people. And when we don't have opportunity, we need to make opportunity. That's for me as much as it is for anybody. I know I lack in that area, but we need to do what we can. What if everybody was like me when it comes to visiting the sick? Would anybody get any visits? Would anybody be shown that we remember them? We think about them. I think about so many people over the years that I've worshiped with that left the congregation, not necessarily because they were sick, but just left, and we didn't reach out to them. And what if we had? What if we had just... Sometimes that's all somebody's waiting for, is for somebody to say, hey, we miss you. I appreciate that. I'll be at church next Sunday. That's all they're waiting on. And so, how often I visit the sick might be something I need to think about in my life. Well, moving on. What about how frequently I pray? Would prayers be offered to God on a regular basis? If everybody prayed as frequent as me or infrequent as me, would prayers be offered up to God? Let me tell you, I can tell you from personal experience, when my faith wavers, the more I pray to God, the stronger my faith gets. Prayer to God is a powerful tool. And we underestimate that sometimes. When our faith wavers, get down on your hands and knees. Bow your head, close your eyes, say a prayer to God. Pray to Him. Make the effort, make the conscious effort to pray more frequently to God. And let me tell you, you will see the results. Your faith will increase. Why are we told in the Scriptures to pray, if not for those reasons? Then how about my desire for the truth? If everybody were like me, would they have the desire for the truth so much so that if I am shown that I'm wrong, would I be willing to admit that I'm wrong when presented with the truth? Would I hunger and thirst after righteousness? If somebody said, you know, Brother Randy, the Bible says this about what you're doing and you're not doing that. Would I say, yeah, but, or would I say, you know what, you're right? Would I be willing to admit that I'm wrong and make the necessary correction in my life? That's really what we're talking about here this morning, this whole lesson. When I look at these individuals that I want to be like, and if I see that I'm not living like Paul or Stephen or Lois and Eunice, and I say I need to be more like them, am I willing to do that? That's all we're saying. It's all about growth. It's all about following these patterns. How about helping the local congregation to grow? Would anybody, this is kind of like the other point a minute ago, but would anybody be willing to step up and offer help when needed? Would anyone teach? Would anyone talk to the local populace? Would anyone encourage our young converts? So often, we find ourselves making the mistake that we work so hard to get someone to obey the gospel. We baptize them into Christ, and we think we're finished. And then we leave them off on their own. In our Bible study this morning, we talked about a tree being planted. If I don't water that tree's going to die. Let me tell you, when we have young converts, we need to do whatever we can to encourage them, because, you see, now the devil wants them even more. He don't have them anymore. And they're growing. And it's a dangerous time in their spiritual life. And so we need to work with them. Maybe we need to have new converts classes or something like that, or whatever. But we need to reach out to them as individuals. Or we need to maybe ask them if there's anything we can do to help them, or offer to have personal Bible studies. Whatever it is, would anybody be willing to help a local congregation grow? Or would we say, well, that's everybody else's work. That's everybody else's job. There's no saying in the business realm,